To be brutally honest, I think that it's a bit naive when you talk about the pragmatism that has to be applied in America's political system, and we are a two-party system, and ideally, sure, a third party or an independent party would be able to soar and thrive and put candidates forth and have them elected, but I don't think America is ready for that. I think that it is, granted, it's quite conventional and traditional, but in a good way that we have our two parties, and I think that that's what will remain. And I say that, though, acknowledging that I'm not an obsessive partisan. I understand why good people, like my own husband, refuse to register in a party. Todd's not a Republican, and yet he's got more common sense conservatism than a whole lot of Republicans that I know, because he is one who sees the idiosyncrasies of the characters within the machine, and it frustrates him, along with a whole lot of other Americans who choose to be independent. But in answer to your question, I don't think that the third-party movement will be what's necessary to usher in some common-sense conservative ideals.
Now, you mentioned independence, when we need to get independence. Independents right now are abandoning the Democrat Party. They did so in New Jersey. They did so in Virginia. And the White House pretty much proves this, because the White House was out prior to the election saying, Republican Party identification in polls is as low as it's ever been. Therefore, for Republicans to win these races, there had to be independents moving in their direction. Now, I know you're not in politics now, but you have political experience. I'm not in politics. I've never gone out and gotten votes. I've always been curious about the professional politicians' insistence that we go out and get independence. Sure, you want to show up the base, but with these magical, whatever it is, 20% of people that are not identified or do not self-identify themselves with either party, what's the way to get them?
I think just naturally independents are going to gravitate towards that Republican agenda and Republican platform, because the planks in our platform are the strongest to build a healthy America. We're all about cutting taxes and shrinking government and respecting the inherent rights of the individual and strengthening families and respecting life and equality. You have to shake your head and say, who wouldn't embrace that? Who wouldn't want to come on over? They don't have to, though, necessarily be registered within the Republican Party in order to hook up with us and join up with that agenda, standing on those planks. In Alaska, about 70% of Alaskans are independent. So that's my base. That's where I am from, and that's been my training grounds, is just implementing common sense conservative solutions. Independents appreciate that. You're going to see more and more of that attraction to the GOP by these independents as the days go on.
If the GOP articulates what you just articulated. So I've always believed the way to get Reagan got them by just being who he was, articulating conservatism. But conservatism is nothing different than the founding principles of the country. Therefore, the key to getting independence is Republicans who can articulate those beliefs.
You know, another key to this, too, is to not hesitate duking it out within the party. This is what I appreciate about the Republican Party. We have contested, aggressive, competitive primaries. We're not like this herd mentality, like a bunch of sheep with the fighting instincts of sheep, as Horowitz would say, like some in the Democrat Party, where, heaven forbid, you take a stand and you oppose somebody within your own party because it's the right thing to do. I appreciate that in the Republican Party. Some on the other side say that they're observing what goes on in the GOP and say that's infighting and they can't get along and there's no consensus there. No, this is healthy debate, good competition. It makes candidates work harder. It makes for a better product, if you will, at the end of the day. I appreciate that about our party.
We are talking to Governor Sarah Palin. We take a brief prosperity timeout. We'll be back and continue with Governor Palin right after this.
Doing the work that the mainstream America.
What are your thoughts on the congressional health care reform bills going through the House and the Senate?
Well, we don't really know, do we, what's in that Senate version, the Senate consideration. It will be soon, but we have no idea of costs. We don't know how many will be insured. We're waiting to hear all that. We don't know if the tax funding of abortions will be in this new version that's sitting over on the Senate side. We don't know if those who choose not to purchase government mandated level of coverage will face jail time as punishment. There are so many questions unanswered. I don't like the idea in general of the federal government thinking it needs to take over healthcare, which essentially this is, and control 1/6 of our economy, not when there are common sense solutions to meeting healthcare challenges in our country, like allowing the intra and interstate competition with insurers, tort reform, cutting down on the waste and fraud that the Obama administration insists if we just did that, we'll pay for this $1.some trillion healthcare reform package. So lots of common sense solutions that need to be plugged in before ever considering federal government taking it over.
You mentioned earlier you wanted to talk about national security, that you hoped it came up. Well, here it is. What do we face? What are our threats, and are we prepared or not?
Well, I think domestically a threat that we're facing right now is the dithering and hesitation in sending a message to the terrorists that we're going to claim what Ronald Reagan claimed. Our motto is going to be, we win, you lose. The way that we do that is allow McChrystal to have the reinforcements that he's asking for in Afghanistan. That sends that message to the terrorists over there that, no, we're going to end this thing with our victory. We need to start facing Iran with tougher and tougher sanctions that need to be considered. We need to work with our allies with the Iranian issues like Britain and France, and not allow access to favorable international monetary deals. That's a great threat that I think would kind of shake up Ahmadinejad and get him to listen. We need to look at halting Iran's imports of refined petroleum products. They're quite reliant on imported gasoline, and we need to use that hammer to wake up the leadership there too. Those are two big challenges that we have right now, domestically and in naming those two countries, Afghanistan and Iran. Two big challenges there too.
30 seconds, immigration. Can you do it in 30 seconds before we have to go?
I can't do it in 30 seconds, but just know that, let me put it simply. Illegal immigrants are called illegal for a reason. We need to crack down on this. We need to listen to the border states where the governors there have some solutions, and we need to get serious about that.
Governor Palin, thanks very much. It's been a pleasure. It's been fun. Thanks for last week as well. And good luck on what I know is going to be a life-changing book and book tour.
Hey, thank you. Keep up the good work, and all the best to all your listeners.